Oftentimes, the progression of a case in the news ends when justice is found for a victim.
But for 3 people involved in the death of a baby 40 years ago, while some closure came when the case was solved, it went beyond the conviction.
Morgan Sturdivant joins us now with the story of how 2 detectives and a couple came together to memorialize her brief, beautiful life while she rests in the peace they've provided for her. When 2 Maine State Police detectives came together to work on a cold case of a baby that was found abandoned in 1985 in Frenchville, her life only lasting hours on a cold December night, they both had the obvious goal of solving the crime, but they didn't realize then that this baby would bring a profound change to both of their lives professionally and personally. Photojournalist Mark Redeker and I spoke to them about Lily Janelle.
So I was assigned to the Unsolved Homicide Unit and spent the last 7 years of my career there. So I always knew about this case.
My involvement really started with her in the beginning of 2018. I was assigned as the primary investigator on her case. And
for Maine State Police Detective Chad Lindsay, his job was to figure out what happened to baby Jane Doe back in 1985 when she was left to die in a gravel pit in Frenchville in frigid temperatures after she was born. And with the help of Detective Jay Pelletier, that's what they did together.
The Golden State Killer had just been caught in California a few months before using genetic genealogy. So I thought this sounded like a great idea. We could use this to maybe identify this child. So I called down to our crime lab, and there was kind of silence on the phone when I told them what I was looking for. And they said, "You should probably call Jay Pelletier." Like, okay. And like, yeah, he's about 6 months ahead of you.
It turns out Detective Pelletier had already started the paperwork for the forensic genetic genealogy that would ultimately positively identify the baby's mother. But what Detective Pelletier would say to Detective Lindsay while on the road to solve the case would eventually land the 2 of them in this cemetery in Bangor together years later.
And Jay looked over at me and he said, "It's wrong that this girl doesn't have a name." And I was like, yeah, you're right. But it took a few minutes for the full implications of what he was saying to actually dawn on me. I realized in that moment that I had been so focused on who did this that I completely lost sight of the fact that a beautiful little girl had been killed. She had been left to die and under horrible circumstances. And that was a really big gut check moment for me. I think it's something that every detective needs every once in a while.
As a reminder that there's a victim who needs justice, but also peace and the dignity they deserve. That's what led to finding the baby a name.
My wife is an English teacher, so I consulted with her about, what would be an appropriate name for this child. So she did a little bit of online research and said the name Lily represents innocence. And then, of course, Lorraine and Armin were kind of her adopted parents by default. And I wanted to give her an opportunity to weigh in also. So that's when I kind of went to her and asked, if you could name her, what would you name her?
Yeah. And we had always said if we ever had a little girl, because we never had children, that we would name her Janelle.
And I looked up Janelle on my phone real quick, and it meant a gift from God. So Lily means innocence, and Janelle is a gift from God, and that's exactly what this little girl is. She's an innocent gift from God.
And planning a proper memorial service for her, surrounded by the people who have kept her fiercely in their hearts for years.
And I was taken aback by the number of people that were there. It was a little overwhelming for me, and it was, as I told some of my colleagues later, it was a day that I didn't realize I needed.
When it came time for the ceremony, they all came together under the shade of the massive trees in the cemetery where Lily Janelle has been resting. But now with a new headstone under St. Anne's watchful eye, hopefully this baby is finally at peace.
Fly, Lily, fly. Spread your wings.
And that piece is something that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for a couple and their dog, a husky, who found the baby and brought her back to the owners after she found her in the gravel pit that night.